All right, good night. Welcome, everyone. Thank you guys for being here. All right, the topic tonight is basically how to start a survival garden. You know, a survival garden is a garden that is designed to provide food in time of crisis or emergency. It is a great way to ensure that you have access to fresh produce when you need it most. Some of the best crop for survival garden, I think it's beans, corn, squash, potato, tomato, pepper, cucumber, carrots, beets, radish, lettuce, spinach, kale, chard, and herbs like basil, oregano. All these kind of plants is very good for a survival garden. Because the thing about it is, hey, the Isaac's family, how you doing? Thank you for being here. The thing about it is, sometimes we need a survival garden. A survival garden is important. And what we need to know as well is plants that can grow in your area. Sometimes we got to do our research and see which crop, because sometimes you want crop that can provide food that easy to store in these crises. You know what I'm saying? Basically, say you want to start a survival garden. It's not A survival garden is not really a difficult garden if you really think about it. If you sit down and think about it, it can be difficult. But once you start doing it and you get in the idea, it start becoming easier. And the thing is, guys, always ask questions. Feel free to ask questions. Sometimes we feel we're too big to ask questions. No, sometimes don't make your pride get in the way of keeping you from learning. You see, if you really want to do a survival garden, like I always say, being patient is important. Being patient is is a start. You know what I'm saying? This is the thing. You got to be patient. Then at the same time, don't take on big garden in your first year. Try do something that you could control, that you could able to control. You see what I'm saying? Don't try to go too much over what you can, what you can handle. Especially if you is a brand new gardener, like somebody who knows starting. It's always important to create a plan and start small rather than sowing seed for every single type of vegetables you can think of. Because at the end of the day, you got to be able to take care of them. They're not going to just grow for themselves. Or sometimes you could get lucky. Sometimes maybe you could just toss the seed and it works out. I think just select the ones that you can easily grow. Like for instance, you might be a new gardener and you don't know what's easy to grow. So this is where you come in and ask questions. Sometimes in your neighborhood, if you see gardeners, you see people growing and you passing, maybe you could just stop and just ask a few questions. You see what I'm saying? Because it's important. In a survival garden, you want to know plants that can grow in your area, in your zone. You want to grow plants that they could provide food that can full you. That when you eat, they can full you, because remember, this is a survival garden, because in case crisis, in case emergency, in case food can't deliver, this is a garden. So it's important to ask question and figure out what am I gonna plant? So the thing you want to know, check in the area and see what grows in this area, what grows well in this zone. And you get these plants and plant them. You see, pumpkin, squash, these things are wonderful because they're easy to store. You see what I'm saying? One thing you watch, number one, I always mention this. You got to choose the best location in the garden or in your backyard. The best location. What is the best location? The best location is full sun. Full sun. Sun is important because the honest truth, majority of the crop need 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. While there's a few still don't really need it, like brassica, spinach, that can grow well in shady condition. But most plant leaves need at least 6 to 8 hours a day to really give you that, that produce the way you want them to produce, or the way they should. Then you also got to pay attention to the season, and you also got to check your growing zone. Check your growing zone. Check which plants grow well in your growing zone and plant them, especially plant that can come back. There's a lot of plants you could plant, harvest them, replant their head, and they come right back, like Edos, Dasheen. These are good root crop that you can grow. These amazing, especially you in zone 8, zone 9, zone 7, even zone 6, you might get lucky. Edos, Dasheen, Tanya, which is Tara. Some people call them some of them Tara. Some people call the Edo Cocoa. So these are plants that's good for survival crop. Easy to grow, and they don't take too much work to get them going. Basically, if you're a new gardener, if you're a new survival gardener, you want to start with easy crop, easy growing crop. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have nobody to help you and nobody to teach you, it might be a little difficult for you. So grow a few easy growing crop. Then the thing about it, you might know what is easy growing crop. So what I will say, vegetables. And you grow the ones that you love to eat. You choose that crop that easy to grow, like beans, lettuce, radish, tomato. Them is really good, easy crop that you can grow. You see, and Edos, Dasheen, Tanya, you could do your research on that, and that might be able to help you as well. Okay? So, when we come down to sometimes we could make a lot of mistake in gardening as well. Yes, we can make mistake in gardening, which is true. And one of these mistakes could be for the new gardener is starting out too big. And this is a common mistake that a lot of people make. They grow, they start out too big. Okay, and then when they start out big and everything start busting up and germinating and growing, things start get difficult. Another one that can be a problem is not prepping the soil. And guys, you know I always talk about the soil and the importance of the soil. Not prepping the soil can be a serious problem. Soil preparation is key to a successful garden. You know, you make sure you have good quality, good soil quality, and that is important. Amend the soil with compost, organic matter, which is important as well. You know, another mistake we also make is giving the plant the wrong amount of sunlight, because most plants require at least 6 to 8 hours a day. And sometimes we could put the plant in a shaded area. That's a mistake. If a plant like 8 hours of sunlight and you put it in an area where it only could get 3, is not gonna strive the way it should. The next thing again, another mistake we do make, the way we fertilize our plants. Well, I'm an organic gardener, so I don't use the synthetic fertilizer. I use natural compost, right? But for the people who use that kind of fertilizer, if you add too much, it can burn the plants. With that kind of food, it can burn your plant. That's why I stay away from them. You see what I'm saying? So what I do, I add the organic fertilizer, the leaf and the tree trunk that break down. That's what I call fertilizer. And I add it to my plant. So you want to make sure you add enough. Not adding enough sometimes can be a little problem. You know what I'm saying? Because you want the plant to get the right nutrients it needs. And if you as a person that trying to grow from seed, right? If you starting from seed, remember you cannot plant your seed too deep. You cannot. Planting seed too deep can cause root rot. You know that the plant could never even germinate. That seed could get rot before it even germinate. So at least 1/2 inch to 1 inch most, I will put my seed down. Okay? Planting it too deep, sometimes it can rot before they even germinate. So think about that, guys. And weeding. The next thing again is weeding. Weeding your garden. That's another big situation. Hey, Healy means, how you doing? Thank you for being here. What's going on? Yes, late night live stream. Yes, definitely. Yes. How are you doing tonight? Thank you for being here. All right. Yes, so when you're dealing with seedlings, you got to make sure that you don't plant them too deep, because if you plant them too deep, they could rot before they even start germinating. So be mindful of that. While we gardening, sometimes we have weed growing up in our garden. And if we fail to get these weed out the way, basically clean up the garden, these weed could eventually take over your plant. The weed will actually compete with your plant and take over your plant, take control of your plant. So this is very important. This is very important in gardening. You know, it's a lot of mistake we can make while gardening if we don't really understand what we're doing. You could make so much mistake in gardening, but this is what you learn from your mistake. That's the thing. You pay attention and you learn from your mistake. All right? Pests is always a problem in gardening. And this year was one of the, I see so many different pests that I didn't never even see before. So let's talk a little about what you can do to avoid pests sometimes. Let's talk about that for a minute. Companion planting. I will always recommend companion planting. Companion planting. You planting certain plants together can repel pests. Like for instance, if you plant marigold with tomatoes can help basically repel pests. Marigold, I'm always hearing about marigold, and yes, marigold helps. But we got to understand too, marigold also good for us. Do some research on marigold and see for yourself the benefit of marigold. You see what I'm saying? And I did a live last night as well, which I talk about the pest control. So I ain't gonna go through too much of this. But you also could do crop rotation. Crop rotation could definitely help deter the bugs them. Okay? Hand picking off pests by hands is an effective way of controlling the pests, because as we know, we just don't want to use the pests and spray. We try and forget them off natural. Okay. I just sow my seed in the starter tree and cup for my fall garden while I walk on my raised bed. Hopefully, in time, it right where the ceiling will be ready by the time I finish. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's good news for me. That's good news for me, sis. I like to hear these things. You know, that you sow your seed and you waiting. Thumbs up to you, sis. Thumbs up. Thumbs up to you. Yes, so companion plant is so much you could do, but I try to do it the natural way, which is companion planting and hand picking and rotation. And basically the rotation of the pests. You see what I'm saying? Of the plants. So I'm just gonna go over a little of what I said tonight. And then we're gonna be talking a little. Yeah, let me see, okay. Marigold serve as a trap flowers for Hey, we in my garden. All right, okay, all right. That's what I'm talking about. This is the thing too. Thank you for that, sis, because we all learn from each other, and this is what's matter. You see, we all learn from each other. Thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. At least somebody might able to see this and learn from that. And now they're gonna be planting marigold to help chop. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yes, so I'm gonna go over a little, just go over a little. A survival garden is a garden that is designed to provide food in times of crisis or emergency. It is a great way to ensure that you have access to fresh produce when you need it most. Some of the best crop for survival gardening basically is like beans, corn, squash, potato, sweet potato, tomatoes, pepper, carrots, beets, radish, lettuce, kale, chard, herbs, basil, and oregano. This plant is very easy, very, very easy to grow, and easy to store. Like I was mentioning a few minutes ago, there's actually a plant named Edo, Eddo, Edo. It's a plant almost looks similar to elephant ears, but it's not elephant ears. Elephant ears cannot be eaten, but this plant can be eaten. Edo, which is three of them. You have Edo, you have Dashin, you have Tanya. This plant is rich. Even the leaf, the young leaf, you can eat the young leaf. You can boil it, maybe like about 45 minutes, and it mash up. You see, like collard greens. Yes, you could eat the young leaf, and it's a root crop. You could eat the the um the root. So these plants is plants people should have, because the good thing about them, when you harvest them, you take off the they come like, you see, like how we have potato that you harvest and you're pulling out of one root. It's something like that. But so what you do after you take off the heados, you replant it, and that goes back in the soil. Then it come back the next spring and continue produce again, last for 6 months, and it's like ongoing. So that's a food source right there. I'm always mentioning it to people. I give away a lot of edo seed, not the seed, small edos. I give away a lot last year. I'm hoping that people actually take them and plant them. Some people plant them and now they have edos growing. It's a plant that you always have food. It comes back every year. So, and it lasts for 6 months. So it's interesting and it's healthy. It's full of fiber and it's full of nutrients. It's really good food. I remember in times when, like, a woman pregnant, they used to give them this food, because this food help the woman. Well, that's what they used to mention. It help, even the leaf help for the lady to produce breast milk. You see, so it's a plant I grew up eating, and I'm still eating it today because I'm still growing it. Okay, so Edo, Eddo. Check it out if you're interested. Do some research, do your own research on it, and see if it's a crop you would like to plant. but it's a survival. That's a survival crop. That's something you could grow and survive from, you and your family. You could use it. You could use it like mashed potato. Like when you mash the potato, you could use it in that form. You could use it just like when you boil a potato and just eat, without mashing it. You also could mash it and make porridge. Do your research on those guys. Because at the end of the day, you never know what's coming and you want to able to have food in your yard. You could able to go out and pull a root of edibles, go inside and cook some food for you and your family. We got to start thinking about survival crop as gardener. Crop that you could actually survive and food that can fool you. You see, we talk about collard greens, we talk about tomato, we talk about radish, we talk about these plants. Yes, there's good plants and there's healthy, but in survival time, you need food that can fool you. You see what I'm saying? Like for instance, you eat and like food with carbs. You want food with carbs that these food could fool you. You see what I'm saying? Like you eat and it fool you. Not you eating all day. This is survival time. You can't afford to be eating every day, all day. You might only need to eat one meal a day because it's survival time. You can't run to the store and get food. Your garden is where you're depending on right now in your yard. So you got to think about food that you can actually eat and it lasts for people, because sometimes you might only could eat one meal. You just never know. So it's better to be prepared and do your research and plans. Like for instance, if you in a zone, you in zone, wherever zone you are, what you should be doing, you should be trying to figure out, ask question, what kind of plant grows well? So like a survival crop, a root crop, a root crop. Which kind grows well in this zone? Or you could look it up online. And these are the plants you go to. Like for instance, guys, like these farmers market, you could go, like say you in zone 9, 8, and them places there. You might be able to grow yam, yam and, other root crop because the temperature that you're dealing with. So these are things you got to do. You go to the farmer's market and you check out these plants and see which one could grow in your zone. I try to moderate how much I plant, but I tend to overdo it. But I share extra with people who need. Awesome, awesome. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I myself give away a lot of food every year. I harvest some squash today. I harvest some tomato today. And what I did with it, I give it away. I take all and just take it to a older couple. I give away the whole harvest. And I do it every year. But sometimes I harvest, look, and I see somebody, I take it and I give them. You see? That's how it is. That's how, sometimes, especially the older people, man. Especially the older people, they appreciate. When you do that, they appreciate what you do for them. That squash and that they were so happy that I give them that to this, because now they ain't got to go buy stuff expensive. So don't feel like you're doing too much. At least you're able to give someone. That's a blessing. But you always encourage them to grow as well. Don't let them just continue giving. Give them some seed as well. Say, you know what? Look, some seeds, start growing something. Because a lot of people will just collect. You know, they will collect the food, but they would not grow it. So we got to encourage them. Okay, I'm gonna give you some food, especially if they're not older people. Because the older people could do so much. Once they're young and could do it, look some seed, try to grow a garden. So yes, guys, it is for real, and I'm just encouraging people. That's what I'm trying to do, encourage people. You know what, if as a new gardener, if you as a new gardener and you want to start a survival garden, all you got to do, start small, sit down and think. Sit down and think the food you like. Sit down and think what you want to grow. Sit down and think how much space you have. And you work on that. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to overdo it, then you cannot control. Because plant need care. At the end of the day, plant need care. So I just want to encourage each and every one. That's what I'm trying to do, guys. Encourage you guys, or new gardeners, or the people who want a garden but believe, because the way how some people do it, it can seems very expensive to start a garden, but it's really not. It's really not. You see, like what Healy means, do she set in her own seed? That's a form of saving. And when you cut up a squash, you cut it out and you scrape out the seed them and you dry them and you put them away, that you could plant your crop. You do a pepper, cut it, scrape out the seed, dry them and put them away. Tomato kind of little more difficult because of how the seed is clammy in the tomato, but still you can put them, clean it up the best way you can, put them to dry and store them away. Every vegetable plant you cut up that have seed, you should try to save them seed and learn how to germinate seed is important. It's pretty cheap because one plant this year was almost $5 and change. Next year, I'm sure it's going to be $6 and change. So if you're able to gather some seed and do it for yourself, it's going to be way cheaper and way easier for you. So now you could plant a lot because you have seeds. You could set seeds for basil, seed for tomato, seed for cat, whatever seed you want. But if you decide to go and buy the plants, if you decide to go and buy the plants, it's going to cost you way more. Say, for instance, you want to plant 50 plants. When you realize it's at $6 for one plant, that's $300 right there. You see what I'm saying? So it could be expensive the way you do it. But what I'm recommending you, it ain't going to cost you that much. So yes, guys, this is garden season. Right now we're hitting the fall garden. So we just want to encourage each and everyone. Plant as much as you can, do as much as you can. You cannot do more than you can. You cannot do more than you can. Yes. Yep. So how you guys doing? How you guys doing? I hope you guys got and going pretty well. I'm hoping that. Yes. You know, and I'm really into organic, guys. Anyone know me know how much I'm into organic gardening. Anyone know me know how much I into it. So when you want to make, it's as a gardener, you got to decide what type of gardener you want to be. If you want to be an organic gardener or a regular gardener. A regular gardener is basically using whatever they get from wherever the store and other thing. All right. Let's see. What I love to use, what I love to use is organic matter, such as leaf or grass clipping. And you could put leaf into, you could have a bin, like a garbage bin, and you could just add leaf and grass clipping down inside of there. Or if you got potato skin potato skin that you have, wait, sorry, I'm a do and the following the light. Give me a second there, guys. All right. And then, like, if you have like potato, you can actually peel the skin and you could even throw them inside there, like your potato that, especially potato that you grow, because it's organic. And I really don't, why I don't like to put extra stuff in my compost is because sometimes, like for instance, you might buy a fruit and the fruit have worm inside of it, and then you throw the worm in your compost pile, and that worm, maybe it have eggs, and now you create a whole different species in your garden. And then these things love to eat out your fruits, your vegetables. So this is why I don't introduce these things to my garden. So yes, guys, thanks again for coming out. I appreciate you guys. This is a late night live stream about gardening. I hope this live able to motivate someone and get them going into the garden. So thank you guys again for coming out tonight. I appreciate you guys. Peace, love, and blessing to each and every one. You guys have a blessed and wonderful night. All right? Don't forget, I go live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can always check me out. All right? Thank you, guys. Peace and love.